Good morning, students. I hope so. Everyone is good and everyone is fit and fine. So today we are going to start with this new chapter, which is human resources from the subject geography. And this is going to be the lecture 1 from chapter number 6, human resources, class 8, subject geography. So till now you have studied a lot in this particular book, geography, and this is going to be the last chapter, and this is going to be a part of your unit 4 test as well. So we are going to start with this chapter. I am going to give you a quick introduction about what this chapter is all about. So basically how humans are used as a resource in our day-to-day life. Like we have studied a lot about different types of resources: water resource, soil resources, natural resources, man-made resources, but how these particular resources being utilized. Basically we require some person, we require something that could make these particular resources more useful. So humans are there who are making more vibrant things out of these resources. So that's why human resources is known as the ultimate resource, or we can say that they are the nation's resource as we call it off. So in this chapter you are going to study a lot about human resources, how they what they are, what is the basically density of population, how the distribution of population is there, and so on. So all these things we are going to be studying in this particular chapter. So I'm just going to let you know what are the topics that we are going to be covering in this particular lecture. That are the topics to be covered in this particular lecture will be, first of all, I am going to give you a quick introduction about this particular chapter. What are the basic things that we are going to study in this chapter and what this chapter is all about. Basically about human resources. What are human resources? I'm just going to clarify that first of all. Then we are going to talk about the topic distribution of population. How our population is distributed in different parts of the world, and how we can basically know that which country is rich, which is like having a dense population, and which is having not so dense population. Then we are going to talk about density of population. Density means how you can calculate on which particular unit area how much people live in that particular area. We are going to know about that. What is the particular density of a particular area or the one country or the entire world, how we can calculate that. So we are going to discuss that in the density of population topic. Then there are different factors that affect the distribution of population as well. So overall, if we see that there will be different factors on which we can say that people prefer these kind of areas more than certain areas where their life is quite difficult and people cannot live there. So there are certain factors on which the distribution of population also depend on. So we'll study that in that particular topic, and then I have given you a few of the questions in the like last lecture that I have taken online. I will be giving you the solution here only, and then I will be like giving you the homework. I will be giving you the homework for this particular lecture. So let's get started with the lecture now. So first of all, I am just giving you a quick introduction about what this chapter is all about. Like human resources, what we can conclude, or what we can understand by human resource. It is that that it is, first of all, it is known as nation's greatest resource. Why it is known as nation's greatest resource? Just because without humans you cannot utilize any other resource, and you cannot make any useful thing out of those particular resources. So humans are the one. See, if there are number of plenty of natural resources that is there in front of us, but there is no one, there should be a medium. There should be a medium where who are going to make those resources more useful for you, from which you can utilize them or you can use them. So for that, human resources are basically used as a particular way or as a medium where they are making all these resources more useful for you. So that's why they are known as nation's greatest resource. And significantly, nature's bounty becomes significant only when people find it useful. So if you want to make those resources more useful, you need to utilize it in such a way that it is benefiting a lot of people altogether. And for that, you require human resource, basically who are going to make those things more useful for you. So that is one of the reason that they have called this thing as nature's bounty that becomes significant only when people find it more useful. So it is basically people when their demands and abilities that turn them into resources. So it is our demand, like whatever thing that you are wishing for, whatever your demands are according to your wishes and your well-beings and your abilities as well. Basically, some people could be good in farming and some could be good in manufacturing the things. So there is difference in everyone's abilities as well. So abilities also take a lot of chance here, where we can utilize the human resources in different ways. So it is people with their demands that we are going to make the things more useful with taking away their abilities where they are good in, and that turn them into more resources, more, what we call them as a resource. So that's why we know human as a resource, because we are utilizing their only demands and we are taking out their abilities to turn all the other resources more useful just to fulfill their demands only. I hope so it is clear to everyone. Then I am going to discuss why they are known as the ultimate resource. So hence, human resource is the ultimate resource just because without the human resource as a medium, they cannot like utilize or they can provide any useful thing from the other resources. So basically, without the human resource you cannot make any other kind of a resource. So that is why human resource is known as the ultimate resource. Like healthy, educated and motivated people develop resources as per their requirement. So there will be a lot of different kind of a person who might be healthy, educated, motivated people. They require such kind of people into this world where they can develop these resources as per our own requirements. I just told you that it depends on our demand. So they are just fulfilling our requirements only by taking away our abilities and turning them into more useful resource. Then human resources, like other resources, are not equally distributed over the world. If we see that if we require a kind of human resource, it will be not an equal ratio in each part of the country or like each part of the world. It will be different. It cannot be stable, it cannot be equal in terms of the distribution of human resources. Like human resources, like other resources, are not equally distributed over the world. They differ in their educational level, age and sex. So basically, in what characteristics, on what basis they differ. So basically they differ on the level of their education, on the level of their age and basically their gender as well, like male, female and others too. So their numbers and characteristics also keep on changing. See, basically sometimes one country could be rich in human resources and other could not, but similarly the numbers are changing. It could not be same. If some country is above in human resources, there will be chances that can any other country also can be bigger than that in the next year, with the numbers and the characteristics are always changing. So it is never going to be same that one country is rich with human resources and other is not. The circumstances made them change. Now we are going to talk about the first topic of this particular chapter, that is distribution of population. Now what does distribution of population means here? See, basically in the entire world there will be like every country is spread with like people, and people live there in that particular area, but the distribution of like the population is going to be different in every part of the world. In every part of the country there will be different number of people who are living there. So basically the way in which people are spread across and the earth surface is known as the pattern of population distribution. So basically the way we are spread across in the entire world, in the entire earth surface, that is what known as the pattern of population distribution. Now more than 90% of the world's population lives in about 30% of the land surface. So if we calculate in numbers, like more than 90% of the world's population lives in the like if we count as the entire earth is 30% of the land surface and rest is water. So in the 30% of land surface what we have, more than 90% of the world population lives in the land area, and few of the percentage that is left, they particularly want to live in the sea area. Some are in the army background and they want to protect that, so they have to live there. They'll particularly live in the Antarctic oceans, land, not the land area but the water area. So basically the few of the percent that is left, they summarize into the water land areas. Okay, so that is what the distribution is there for how the people are distributed in terms of the population. Now the distribution of population in the world is extremely uneven. I just told you that it is never going to be equal, and it is never going to be that if one country could be rich in a lot of, like one country could be rich with a lot of population which is living there, and other country could not be there. So the distribution of population in the world is never going to be even. It is always going to be extremely uneven. Like India is there, China is there, they have the highest possibility of population, and the other countries, like if you talk about South America, or there will be Australia or other different small part of the countries which are there, there will be very less population in comparison to India and China. So that's why they are saying that the distribution of population in the world is extremely uneven. Now some areas are very crowded and some are sparsely populated. Now what does this line means? That I just told you that some of the areas you will find it that they are very crowded, like India and China. They have the most of the population that lives in these particular areas. Now some are sparsely populated, where there will be very less population who lives there because of the circumstances or the kind of area that is there. Like in India also, most of the people don't prefer to live in the mountain ranges, just because there is very less availability of resources and there is no proper vaccination that they can get in, or the basic activities from where they can get employment also. So basically they don't want to live in certain areas like that. So that's why they are fairly populated. Now the crowded areas are South and Southeast Asia. Now we are just going to tell about what are the basic areas that in terms of the fact, on the terms of facts, they have said that the crowded areas in the entire world, it is South and Southeast Asia, Europe, and Northeastern and North America. So these are the particular areas where you can find the maximum number of distribution of population. Now there are very few people who live in the high latitude areas. Now what is high latitude areas? Where there is there will be no dense plain area that you will get in certain area part of the country, like mountain ranges are there, tropical deserts are there, then dense forests are also there, equatorial forests are also there. So all these things are counted in the high latitude areas. So basically in these kind of areas you will find it very difficult to live in, and there will be very less chances that people want to live in certain areas like that, because of the things that I just told you, that there will be less job opportunities, there is no proper vaccination that you can get in there, or other kind of facilities as well. So life particularly in these areas is very difficult. So there is very spare population in certain areas like that. Now many more people live in the north of the equator than south of the equator. So basically many people try to live in the north of the equator than the south of the equator, just because of the variation that they give in. Like because of people don't want to live in the too cold areas and too hot areas. And if in terms of the equator line, if we talk about, mostly people, they prefer north of the equator than the south of the equator. Now almost 3/4 of the world's people live in two continents only, that is Asia and another is Africa. Now if we talk about 3/4, means that 3/4 of the world, means 75% of our population lives in two continents only, that is Asia and Africa. like 60% of the world's people stay in just 10 countries. If we talk about that in terms of the variation that is given in the entire world, that is 60%. Like 60% of the world's population lives in these in total of these 10 countries only. Like all of them have more than 100 million people. It is given in your book as well what are the top 10 countries that have the maximum population. You can see it from there. These are the countries that has the maximum number of population, and they have a count of more than 100 million people in one particular country. Now we are going to talk about the density of population. Now what does density of population means here is that population density is the number of people living in a unit area of the earth's surface. That means in a particular area that you live in, like if you talk about the kind of area that you live in, so in that particular, how many people, the number of people who live in that particular area will be known as the density of population for that particular area. Now it is being calculated as unit area of the earth surface, like a per unit के हिसाब से it is being calculated. So it is normally expressed as per square kilometer. Now per square kilometer, how many people live in that particular area, it is calculated according to that. So if you want to calculate the density of population, it is basically like calculating the number of people who are living in the unit area of the earth surface, and it is normally expressed as per square kilometer. Now the average density of population in the whole world is 51 persons per square kilometer. Now if we talk about the average density of population in the whole world, that is 51 persons per square kilometer. Now South Central Asia has the highest density of population, followed by East and Southeast Asia. If we talk about India, the average density is 382 people per square kilometer. So basically it is going to be different. If you are going to calculate for the entire world, it is 51%. If we calculate for India, that is 382, and if we calculate per country, it will be different. Per area, it will be different. So it varies. So basically they have calculated just as per unit area for the entire world, for India, for different kind of countries. According to that, they have surveyed these things, and on that particular basis, South Central Asia has the highest density of population, followed by East and Southeast Asia. Now the next topic that we are going to talk about, that is factors affecting distribution of population here. Now there will be different factors on which the distribution of population is affected. Now I just told you that many of the people want to live in a plain area than any other kind of areas, like especially mountains or plateau. So there will be different factors. On the basis of geographical factors will be there, and there will be social, culture and economic factors, that on that particular basis we can say that the distribution of population is always affected. Now first of all, we are going to discuss about the geographical factors. What are the different geographical factors which are there, and on that we will study about topography, soil, climate, water, minerals. All these particular factors affect the distribution of population. How? We are going to talk one by one. So first of all, we are going to talk about topography. Now what does topography means? See, topography means the kind of area that you are living in. See, there will be different kind of land areas, like there will be plains, mountains, plateau. So they are known as topography on which you live in. So people always kind of prefer to live on plain areas rather than mountains and plateau. I just told you, most of the people try to like live in or prefer more of plain areas than of mountains or plateau. Why? Just because they are like because these areas are mostly suitable for farming, manufacturing and service activities. Like these kind of in the plain areas, there are more chances that you can get job opportunities, you can get more of medical facilities, education facilities, and so other kind of service activities as well. So that is why, that is one of the reasons that most of the people prefer to live in the plain areas rather than mountains or plateaus. Now The Ganga plains are the most densely populated areas of the world, while mountains like Andes, Alps and Himalayas are sparsely populated. As I just told you, the Ganga plains, that is basically the north plain areas are there which are densely populated areas of the world, while mountains and like all the mountains like Andes, Alps and Himalayas are sparsely populated due to certain reasons I just told you. Now the next thing is climate. How climate is basically affected, or as a factor that you can see that it affects the distribution of population. See, basically people usually avoid extreme climates that are very hot or very cold. See, most of the people don't want to live in a certain area where there is too hot areas, like desert areas are there. People don't want to live in certain areas like that. Why? Because uh, there will be spare resources, there will be no proper things that you can get in certain areas, and life there is very to live in certain areas it is next to impossible. So that's why climate plays a very important role. Just because people usually avoid extreme climates which cannot be for a human person, it is not like for every person cannot live in certain areas like that, like very cold or very hot, like Sahara Desert, polar regions of Russia, Canada and Antarctica. So there are different kind of areas that you barely can control these climatic things. So you cannot live in certain areas like that. So that is why climate also play a very important role here. Now soil. How soil plays an important factor in distribution of population. See, the fertile soil provides suitable land for agriculture. See, I just told you that employment generation is really important in every part of the world. So basically, soil fertilization provides suitable land for agricultural activities, and fertile plains such as Ganga and Brahmaputra in India is mostly famous. Then in Huanghe, Changjiang in China, it is mostly famous for agricultural activities. Then in Nile in Egypt, and are densely populated just because of all these activities, only because they can generate employment and money for them. Now water, like people prefer to live in the areas where fresh water is easily available, because the river valley of the world are densely populated while deserts have spare population. See, water is the kind of a necessary thing for living. Like we cannot live without water. Water is the most basic thing or the necessary thing that is required by each and every person. So people prefer to live in the areas where fresh water is easily available, and basically they prefer in the areas like river valleys of the world which are densely populated, while deserts have spare population. So in the desert area where there is less water availability, most of the people don't want to live in certain areas like that. Then the next is minerals. How minerals play an important factor in the distribution of population. Like there are different areas with mineral deposits that are more populated. Like you will find, especially in the different part of the world, especially in India, if you talk about, there are different areas like especially Madhya Pradesh, Chhattisgarh, which are rich with diamond mines and different kind of minerals that you can find in. So if you are finding certain resources like that, most of the manufacturing industries you will find it there where you can generate minerals as well as employment. So that is why minerals also play a very important role in the distribution of population. So like diamond mines of South Africa and discovery of oil in the Middle East lead to settling of people in these kind of areas. So these were the geographical factors. Now we are going to talk about the social, culture and economic factors. Now what on social and culture basis it is different, and on economic factors it is quite different. Now why people want to live and why these factors are involved in the distribution of population. See, if we talk about the social factor is that people want to live in the areas where they can get better housing, education and health facilities, and that is what one of the reason is here, that they are densely populated, because in the other part of the world, like in the areas of plateaus and mountains, I just told you there is no like very less possibility of getting better housing, education and health facilities. So that's why in the plain areas, the social factor that involves is that you can get better housing, education will be you will be getting better, and health facilities are like you will get a better health facilities in these kind of areas. That's why they are most densely populated. For example, Pune is the well furnished country, like city that we have. So they have better housing, education, health facilities, and most of the people want to live in these areas. Education wise, they have the best colleges, health facilities are there. That is why people want to prefer these kind of areas more. Then culture, like places with religion or culture significance attract people. Like if we see that in the different part of our country, there you can find different cities where they are rich with places of religion, and mostly people are very like if in India they are very sensitive towards their culture and their religion as well. So that's why they want to be close towards their own cities. So places with religion or culture significance attract more people like that. Like Varanasi, Jerusalem and Vatican City are some of the examples of culture factors. Now economic. If we talk about economic factor, I just told you that employment opportunities generate more of and attract more of people into these kind of places. Like industrial areas provide employment opportunities and large number of people are attracted to these areas only. Like Osaka in Japan and Mumbai in India are two densely populated areas. Now Delhi, Noida is also, Bangalore is also there, that is coming up into these kind of areas in India that have industrial areas and they provide more of employment opportunities. So most of the people are attracted towards these kind of areas because they can generate they are generating employment opportunities and they want to get employment. So that is the economic factor that is relatable to that. And the example that they have given here is Osaka in Japan, Mumbai in India, and you can write Noida, Delhi, Bangalore, all these cities as well in India. That is mostly densely populated because of the economic factor. So that's it for this particular lecture. I hope so everything is clear to everyone. You can let me know your queries in the online class as well if you find it anything difficult or you are not able to understand anything. Now this is the homework solution that I have given you in the previous online class. The 5 questions that I have given you. The first question was, what is the meaning of population density? That is, population density is the number of people living in a unit area of the Earth's surface. It is normally expressed as per square kilometer. Now question number 2 was, which of the 2 continents are there in which almost 3/4 of world's population world's people live? That is Asia and Africa. Now the third question is, what is the most preferable topography for humans? That is plains. Question number 4, which area of the world has sparse population when it comes to water availability? That is deserts. And question number 5, what are the factors affecting the distribution of population? You can write geographical factors or you can write like culture, economic and social factors as well with this. You just have to name them. You don't have to explain it. You just have to name them like topography, climate, soil, water, mineral, and you can write social, culture and economic factor as well. Just the name, not anything else. So this was the homework solution. Now the homework that I want to assign you with this lecture is, what is the average density of population in whole world and in India? That is the first question that you have to do in your peer notebook. Second question, how can we say that people are the nation's greatest resource and human resource in the ultimate resource? Question number 3, what do you know about Human Resource Development Ministry under the Government of India? And question number 4, what do you mean by the pattern of population? How is world population distributed? So these are the 4 questions that you have to do as a homework for today, and you can mail me your homework on my email ID that you all know. If you find it any difficulty from the lecture, from the homework solution and from the homework that I have given you, please let me know your queries in the online class. We will be discussing the same in the online class too. So that's it for this particular lecture. I hope so everyone have listened and understand everything. And thank you so much for listening to this lecture. Please take care of yourself and your families as well. That's it. Please take care. Thank you.